on Channel 31 Melbourne. We're going to say live from Grand Prix City, Melbourne, as per usual, but as you may have heard, no Grand Prix for you this year, whether it's 4 wheels or 2 wheels, both have been cancelled. We'll have more of that a little bit later on in the program. Joining me once again, my regular offsider, Craig Doc Gladigo. And Craig, welcome back to the program.
Hello, Lone Ranger. Great to be back. Crocodile tears are flowing tonight. We're not getting 2 wheels or 4 wheels this year, so we're just going to have to enjoy our own stuff down here in our 4 walls.
We shall, as usual, make our own fun. And of course, joining us tonight on the program is a Melbourne journalist and PR man for the Australian racing group that is dabbled now in the world of being a book author, but not just any books. He's written a series of books for children featuring some of the biggest names in Australian motorsport, and his name, of course, is Grant Rowley. Grant, welcome to the
Thank you very much for having me. First time on.
It is, and welcome. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. But as I said, a very, very busy weekend of motorsport and lots of news happening. Let's find out what has been happening around Australia and around the world. This is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. Max Verstappen has strengthened his lead in this year's Formula One World Championship with another dominant performance at the Red Bull Ring. Leading all the way, the Austrian Grand Prix win was Verstappen's 3rd race win in a row and extends his lead over Lewis Hamilton to 32 points. Hamilton finished an unfamiliar 4th after sustaining under-trade damage, leaving him to struggle for most of the race. Hamilton's teammate Valtteri Bottas did his chances of retaining his spot at Mercedes no harm by finishing 2nd after the team released him to race and pass Hamilton. He held out McLaren driver Lando Norris, who was once again brilliant, starting from the front row and holding out Hamilton for much of the race. Daniel Ricardo once again had to overcome a poor qualifying session to pick up valuable points. Starting 13th, Ricardo ran as high as 5th mid-race before dropping back behind Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz. But his drive to hold off Charles Leclerc for 7th place would no doubt please McLaren in their Constructors' Championship fight with Ferrari. American driver Joseph Newgarden celebrated the 4th of July in style, giving Team Penske their first win of the season at the Mid-Ohio round of the IndyCar Series. On a weekend that marked the 50th anniversary of the team's first win, Newgarden held off the fast-finishing Marcus Ericsson for the victory. The race got off to an incident-packed start. Ryan Hunter-Ray appeared to check up and was hit by teammate James Hinchcliffe, knocking him into a spin that collected Arrow McLaren driver Felix Rosenqvist, who was then hit by Romain Grosjean. Will Power came off 2nd best in a Trans-Tasman battle with fellow Gold Star and Indy 500 winner Scott Dixon. The two made contact, sending Power into a spin. Most of the pack managed to avoid the stranded Aussie, except for Ed Jones, eliminating both cars and leaving Power with an injured wrist. A 3rd place to Alex Palou strengthened his championship lead over Pato O'Ward, but on America's big day, all eyes were on a very popular winner.
I'd start each stint and feel like I had everything under control. You get to the back end of it, and I thought I was starting to fall apart. So it was really hard to hang on, but you know, I had my wingman Tim coaching me all the way, just making sure I knew what was up to date. But I don't know what to say other than they've been, you know, this team's been doing the job. You know, everyone's been giving me a hard time, asking what's up with us not winning a race, but you know, I don't think these people at Team Penske could have done anything different. We've been in the game almost every race, had great performance, and obviously great support from our partner in Team Chevy. So it's great to seal a win here finally on the year. We're going to need probably 3 or 4 more of these if we want to win this championship, but this team is capable of it. So I'm just excited to be back. You know, 2 weeks off was enough, and to come back and finally get a win, I'm happy for our whole crew.
But the field 2x2, it's been 65 years since the Cup Series has raced at Road America, but they're back, and they're under green.
Another road course race win to Chase Elliott as NASCAR returned to the spectacular Road America course. The reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion passed Kyle Busch for the lead on lap 46 and cruised to victory on the first Cup race at the famous circuit in 65 years. Elliott finished almost 6 seconds clear of runner-up Christopher Bell, who also passed Busch for the 2nd position on lap 58. Busch hung on for 3rd. Pole winner William Byron led the first 15 laps and won stage 1, but finished 33rd after spinning off course in the final stage after a bump from teammate Alex Bowman. Taylor Reddick won Stage 2 and finished in 8th place. Australian driver James Davison was back in 28th. And it was a dominant weekend for the Audi pair of Charles Wurz and Dries Vanthoor in the GT World Challenge Europe round at Misano. The Team WRT Audi duo comfortably won both the weekend races to give the defending champions a strong lead in their title defence. Sunday's second place finishers, the AMG Mercedes team of Raffaello Marciello and Timur Boguslavski, are also second in the championship, but 75 points in arrears. The next race will be held at the Brands Hatch circuit in England on August 28th and 29th. And that's the In Pit Lane Motorsport news for the week commencing Monday, the 5th of July 2021. We'll have more news next week. Well, of course, in late breaking news, as expected by absolutely everybody, the 2021 Australian Formula One Grand Prix and the Australian MotoGP at Phillip Island have both been cancelled. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday afternoon, Australian Grand Prix Corporation CEO Andrew Westacott said he shared the disappointment of race fans over the cancellation, but assured everyone that both the corporation, the Victorian State Government, Dorna and Formula One management would be working hard to ensure that both events would take place as planned in 2022. Australian Grand Prix Corporation Chairman Paul Little said that he was deeply disappointed that for a second consecutive year both the MotoGP and Formula One fans won't be able to see the world's best riders and drivers compete at the wonderful Phillip Island and Albert Park Grand Prix circuits. Mr Little said he wanted to ensure staff, suppliers and partners that they would be working tirelessly to deliver both events in 2022. Formula One CEO Stefan Domenicali has said that while it is disappointing that they won't be racing in Australia this season, they were confident that they would deliver a full 23 race season in 2021. And we'll have more news on that, of course, next week on the program as well. But we're going to take a break right now here on In Pit Lane, and when we come back, we're going to catch up with our special guest tonight, motorsport journalist turned children's author, Grant Rowley. This is In Pit Lane. We'll be back right after this break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. For 25 years, In Pit Lane has brought hardcore motorsport fans the most diverse range of motorsport on Australian television and online. From club and state level racing all the way through to major international classics, In Pit Lane is Australia's longest running weekly motorsport magazine show. Now, as we face the challenges of a whole new media landscape, In Pit Lane is giving you the chance to show your support and become a part of the show's exciting future. Welcome to the In Pit Lane Pit Crew. In Pit Lane Pit Crew members will receive exclusive bonus content, live streams and special behind the scenes content. Plus, In Pit Lane Pit Crew members will gain exclusive access to our new members-only Discord server, where you can chat with hosts and producers, become a part of specialised discussion channels, plus gain access to exclusive special events. Membership of the In Pit Lane Pit Crew costs as little as $1 per week and will help us continue and expand our local motorsport coverage into the future. To find out how you can become a part of the team, head on over to www.patreon.com/The Pit Crew for more details. Support independent motorsport media. Join the In Pit Lane Pit Crew. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, of course, motorsport journalists writing biographies on famous racing drivers, well, there's nothing new in that. They seem to do it all the time, sometimes with nauseating regularity. But what makes our guest tonight a bit different is he's written not just one, he's written not just two, he's written five stories about some of the biggest names in Australian local motorsport. The interesting thing is he's written them with children in mind. Why? Let's find out. Welcome to the program, Grant Rowley.
Thanks.
Grant, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about the books.
Yeah.
Where did the idea come from?
Well, I guess lots of people were having COVID babies during the COVID period, and I've got no more babies left in me. I've got 2 of them, and that is quite enough. So these are my COVID babies. I wrote 5 of them. The writing didn't take a long time. The pictures took a bit to come up with, and I worked with a really cool artist who helped bring it to life. And this is it. I ended up with 5 for based on Australian race fans. For Australian race fans on Australian racing legends.
But don't be ashamed. You said you were bored, had nothing to do, You broke out a bottle of red, I heard.
Yes.
And the poet came out.
That's right.
Didn't
it might have been just a little bit more than a bottle as well. But I did write, I got the bones of
At least
4.
5 bottles.
Oh, okay.
Four-
One per book.
I wrote 4 in one night, or
Really?
basically wrote all 4 in the first night.
That's an
And,
expression.
there was a couple of little tweaks along the way, but essentially wrote them all in one sitting, and yeah, woke up the next morning.
Who'd you write first?
Jim Richards was actually the one that I wrote first, so he got, and he was the easiest one because kids' books should have the highs and lows, and of course he's had many highs, 7 Bathurst wins and 4 touring car championships. You know, he's been there and done it all. Of course he has that infamous low of the 92 Bathurst 1000. I don't think he ever thought that.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
would
how do you
make-
cover that in a children's book? And Jim stood before the crowd and said, "You're all a pack of arseholes."
Oh, yeah, poetry in motion.
That didn't quite make it in there, not that word anyway.
Safely.
But yeah, it referenced, and with the images, you know, I guess it's not just about the words. It's more about the photos for the parents, the grandparents, to show their kids and tell them how that story unfolded.
What was the motivation? I mean, what made you suddenly decide to target something to kids?
Yeah, well,
because it's something that just wouldn't have entered my mind.
I've got a 3-year-old daughter, just turned 4 actually, and little Georgia we were reading some books during the COVID times, and we did a lot of book reading at that point. And we were flipping through pages, and I was trying to read the words on the page to her, but she wouldn't have a bar of it. As soon as I'd start reading the words, she'd want to flip the page. So if we sat there and just talked to the pictures, we could sit there and talk for hours and hours and hours on whatever was there, you know, dogs and cats or cows or whatever, Peppa Pig, whatever. So it kind of got me thinking, you know, maybe I could do something that had something that I sort of knew a little bit about, which was cars, which was famous guys like Dick Johnson and Peter Brock and Molly Taylor. So yeah, it kind of just went from there, snowballed, and yeah,
Crash test kids.
bottle and a half of red, and away we go.
So how did you pick the people that you were writing about?
They were all, well, certainly, so Molly's obviously a generation below, but Dick Johnson, John Bowe, Jim Richards, Peter Brock were 4 guys that I grew up admiring and loving. And yeah, I guess I picked those guys because I'd really like the next generation to know, you know, how significant they were for our types. We know how significant they are, but if we can tell them at a young age that you know, guys like Dick Johnson were true heroes of the day, then yeah, I think that's a nice bit for those guys.
We've been talking about the little time frame you wrote them in poetry with a glass of vino.
Yes.
However, you did reach out to the legends and Molly yourself, didn't you? And,
Yes.
And a little bit, as you said, you tweaked it later on. So how did that go, reaching out to them? It must have been really a memorable time.
For sure. I didn't speak to Dick once. I mean, I spoke to him about the fact that I was going to do it, and he gave me his blessing, which was fantastic. There was like in the John Bowe book, I was lost with the first 1 or 2 lines, and I just needed to know what he wanted to do as a kid, because I think I'd wrote that he wanted to fly planes or something. He didn't want to fly planes. He wanted to be a footy player or a professional cyclist. So I kind of weaved that into the story as well. Yeah, look, other than that, like I know their lives, you know, back to front, having just been the race fan as a little tacker myself. So they wrote themselves. The Molly one I had to do a little bit of extra research on, but she was fantastic. And Coral Taylor actually supplied all of the a bunch of photos that I could use to turn into the illustrations. Everyone's been super supportive.
Wonderful.
The thing about, you know, I don't know too much about, you know, kids, but I don't have any children myself, none that I've grown up to anyway. So, but what I do know, what I remember of children books is that, you know, that traditionally it's, you know, and they end with something along the lines of, and they all lived happily ever after. That obviously brings to question the book on Brocky.
Yep.
Did you cover, and how do you cover that in a children's book, that situation?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't bring the King Pete book with me, but there's that great statue that sits out the front of Mount Panorama near the National Motor Racing Museum. So that's the picture I used to depict, because now he looks over the mountain and he protects the mountain and all of that. So yeah, sorry, I don't have those exact that exact phrase that I've used there, but you know, I think it ends with something like he's looking over the mountain and telling everyone to just give life a red hot go.
We'd like to ask you heaps more about the book, but they all have a set amount of pages. I think it's 35 pages, isn't it?
28 pages.
28 pages.
All
And
colour. Printed in Australia, printed in Geelong actually.
There you go.
At Adams Print. I saved up my little business cash that the government had given during the COVIDs and used it to spend locally. So
Aussie made.
the guys at Adams Print is actually Shane and Zach Suter, who race in TCR Australia.
Both of them being
so I
on the
kept
Zach's a good
it. I
friend of
kept
ours.
it a
Yeah,
little bit
both
in
of
the
them being
family.
on the show.
Perfect.
Zach was in a couple of years ago. He's great
Yeah,
friend of ours.
Shane Newell many
Shane's
years
here too.
ago. Yes.
Just the back of the book though, you got a little stats section as well though too, haven't you, for
Yeah.
for everyone to see a little bit about the history of actually when they did race.
Yeah, that's right. So Dick Johnson's obviously got a lot to talk about. It's, you know, really famous cars and a little bio. I think he might appreciate that I used a photo of him in his heyday. But yeah, I think it was just a way to pad it out and show that they're real. And yeah, look, these guys love it. Dick and JB and Jim, they all love it. So you know what, that's a tick for me.
We'll find out a bit more about it in just a moment, but we're going to have to take a break now on In Pit Lane. But when we come back, we'll have more with Grant Rowley. And taking us out tonight, we're going to have some great live music from the Krugers. Don't go away. This is In Pit Lane. We'll be right back after this. The show may be over, but the Motorsport chat continues with Full Course Yellow, the In Pit Lane after party. We're on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel live most Thursday nights at 9:30. Straight after In Pit Lane here on Channel 31. So, why not join us? Yes, do join us straight after the program here on Channel 31. You go over to the In Pit Lane YouTube channel or the Facebook page, and you can find out all about that. As we say, every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Well, Grant, we spoke about the books for there. If people want to buy the books, once again, just run through who they're of again, the people they feature, and where can they get the books?
Yep. So five kids books for based on Australian motorsport legends. It's Jim Richards, John Bower, Dick Johnson, Molly Taylor, our Australian Rally champion, and King Pete, Peter Brock. They are available online at networkr.com.au.
Now, word on the street, Grant, is that you just don't do write books and you're a media extraordinaire entrepreneur. You do a bit of a podcast called Parked Up as well, though, too. So keep an eye out for that. Shameless plug there for this guy.
Thank you.
That's all right. It is. But the word on the street, because it is winter and that, moist. Moist. Do I get a free book tonight as well though too?
You can definitely keep the Dickie J book.
That's okay.
You are. No, let's face it. You are the big Ford fan here.
I am a big Ford, big Dickie.
That one's yours.
So the launch was this week.
Yes.
If you mentioned that word, you got there was a little freebie involved.
That's right.
But congratulations on the launch this week. How did it all go?
Yeah, it went really well. Jim Richards and John Bower were there, and they had a great time. There was heaps of family. I actually brought a pretty large renter crowd of my own, just in case no one else turned up. But thankfully there were quite a few people, and took some great photos and made some video and some nice memories.
Oh, you had deep pockets too. I think you were shouting everyone at the pub across the road.
That was definitely
the
part of it.
Oh, now I'm told. Thank you very. Thank you very much.
Definitely. There might be another series down the track, might there not?
Well, I've numbered them all, so I'd like to keep them going. I've actually already written the Larry Perkins book, so.
There you go. Now that one I want to see, kids or not. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. A Larry Perkins book. That will be most entertaining.
I haven't spoken to Larry or Jack about that yet, but we'll get to that.
I think the beautiful thing about it is, though, I mean, when you look at it, you've got so many people, because you've touched on these people are obviously superstars of the sport. But if you look into our overseas thing, you've still got people like Sir Jack and Alan Jones and Mark Webber and Dan Ricardo, a whole bunch of Mick Doohan.
You can expand onto two wheels as well. Too. Most people collect, salt and pepper shakers, maybe football jumpers. You're a Swannies fan, I know that. Go the Bloods, but you could collect legends in motorsport, Australia, and maybe even worldwide.
Now, apart from writing children's books and all that, your day job is looking after PR for ARG, of course, who are the people behind TCR Australia, S5000, and a number of categories now. It has become quite the empire, isn't it?
I think I was the second or third employee. And it was just TCR at that point, and maybe this S5000 thing, which was hanging in the background. Yeah, now it's 6 categories. It's 2 events at none other than Mount Panorama. So the business has expanded really well, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable to go on the ride with them. The
interesting thing about that, we've had a couple of the guys, from some of the guys from Trans Am, some of the TCR guys, including Zach, a few of the guys that have been on the show just recently. And what I've said to all of them, and they all agree, is the ARG series, quite frankly, right now has, without a doubt, in my opinion, the best television package of any motorsport in Australia. You've still got free to air, you've got online. How valuable has that been in sort of promoting the categories, and also in bringing in sponsorship for both the series and for all of the different drivers and categories?
Invaluable. Just with the amount of interest in the phone calls and the drive that people have got to be a part of it, and across all of those categories equally as well. Trans Am is a real smoky in the pack. It's a
real beast at the moment, but you're all enjoying it though.
Yeah, no, they sound great, they look great, they go fast. The drivers in there are a bunch of second generation, third generation drivers. TCR, it's a touring car class. It's something that Australian Motorsport grew up with. We love touring cars, so that's got its place. And S5000's really.
And as we've said a few times, in terms of TCR, the beautiful thing about TCR nationally and internationally is the fact that pretty much everybody's got a dog in that fight. I mean, in terms of manufacturers, not everyone's got a V8 rear-wheel drive coupe or a sedan anymore, but pretty much everybody's got a front-wheel drive subcompact.
Yep.
And a lot of them, and we now got, we've heard that Toyota are getting back involved. There were rumours of Mazda coming in at some stage in the United States. How do you think that will go?
I think it's going to go really well. Like, it's an entertainment package. Yes, there's a lot of market relevance there, but they put on really good racing, really close racing. They bang doors, they get on with it. We've got some really good drivers in there as well, some really good teams.
It's emerging talent as well too.
Okay, well, we're right out of time, of course. Good luck with that. Next round in Victoria for ARG will be Sandown, I believe, with the
September.
First round of S5000.
That's right.
We're all looking forward to that, and we'll keep you up to date with all of that on In Pit Lane. But now, well done on the books. Good luck with it. And for now, Grant Rowley, thanks for joining us in Pit Lane.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And thank you to you at home. Now, next week on the program, for drag racing fans, we've got a treat. We've got Lance Warren. He's the guy who has bought and has taken over control of Heathcote Park Dragway, and he's going to come in next week. We're going to find out all about the exciting plans for that venue in the coming weeks and months ahead. But right now, we're going to take you out with some live music. We've been at the Mr. Boogie Man Bar every Wednesday night doing something we call the tune-up, and just recently we were joined by Melbourne band The Krugers, and they're going to take us out tonight with a song called Devil's Hand. So until we see you next week here on In Pit Lane, whether it's on Channel 31 or on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, or watch us record the program live on Facebook, this is The Krugers and Devil's Hand. Good night.
Yeah.